I'm sure I'm not the only woman in Labour who knows that abuse is not just being hit or raped. Abuse includes denying you resources, a job, independence. Abuse includes intimidation and threats, violent language that makes you feel less than human. Abuse includes telling you that you're crazy and a bitch and evil. Abuse includes telling the people around you that you're crazy and a bitch and evil. Because abuse includes isolating you from the people around you. Telling you not to talk to them, telling them not to talk to you, telling them not to listen to you. And abuse does make you afraid to speak, and unsure of your own reality. It denies you the space to figure out what's happening in your own life, the words to describe yourself, and the privacy to think. And abuse includes saying, I'll kill myself if you don't do what I tell you to do and say what I tell you to say. This abuse doesn't just happen in personal relationships. It can be institutionalized. Threats and sexual violence, belittlement and isolation, and denial of material resources have been part of every backlash to feminism. And now a small number of people in the Labour Party are using them against fellow members, and the response from the party as a whole has been silence or open encouragement. The reason for this abuse is because we are trying to speak about our own lives and needs. Women who've experienced abuse know the cost of agreeing to shut up, keep quiet, and have lies told about you. And many women who've experienced abuse sadly know that abuse does include sex violence. It's being unable to defend yourself physically, being raped, being hurt. And most of this kind of violence is done by people with larger, stronger male bodies who have male genitals. And most of this violence is done to people with smaller, less muscular female bodies who have female genitals. Everyone who experiences abuse deserves resources, support, and understanding. But it's dangerous and childish to wish away any feminist analysis that includes bodies, the shape and the strength and the reproductive function of our bodies that affect our whole lives. And a feminist analysis also includes socialization, that in our imperfect world, boys and girls are raised differently in every culture. How's it social justice to deny the rights of those of us born and raised as women and who've experienced violence because of that? And who've experienced violence that isn't abstract and socially constructed, but is a physical fact of violation that has everything to do with male and female bodies. That's not intersectionality. Intersectionality would say, yes, we face some oppressions together, and in other ways we're different. But it's now a taboo to say that women born and raised as women are different in any way to trans women, that we have any different needs, that we have any right to a private space to discuss those issues which do affect only us. It's a taboo because speaking about it exposes you to all of the abuse that I've just described. Women who raise any concerns, even around self-ID, are told that they aren't thinking straight, they've been hoodwinked by the far right, they are far right, they're mean, they're Karens, they're old and ugly anyway, they should choke on glass or a dick, they should be kicked out of the Labour Party, they should be hounded out of their jobs, they should be publicly humiliated. The best you can hope for is being ignored. That's what you get for wanting to discuss how to keep women in prisons, rape shelters and hospitals safe. Because apparently it's bigoted to think that there are any men who would abuse a system of self-ID in these settings. I'm envious of the rose-tinted glasses of anyone who can genuinely believe that women's boundaries in prison work on an honour system, but I don't want them setting policy. And I don't believe them when they say over and over again that they're intersectional feminists. You can't be an intersectional feminist and care more about playing stupid language games on Twitter than the physical safety of women in prison. I want everyone to be safe and happy and to be welcomed into spaces that help them to understand themselves and to give their lives meaning. I want that for myself and for other women, and especially for women with few choices and a whole load of crap to deal with. And I wholeheartedly wish that same thing for trans people of any gender identity. Most of the abusive nonsense doesn't come from trans people, and I know that there are trans people who've been chased out of what passes for a debate, by the people who supposedly represent their interests. To keep all of us safe, we have to be able to have a nuanced conversation that does acknowledge difference instead of imposing a strange cultish orthodoxy of mantras. And I've tried to have this conversation a lot of times, and I'm exhausted and disheartened, and I've lost all sense of any sense of community in the left. And it feels very gendered to keep being the bigger person, to receive anger and patronising comments, and to be told that it's me that's full of hate, and to just keep trying to say, I want everyone to be safe and happy, please can we talk about how? But my other options are shut up and disappear, or respond to anger with anger, and I don't want to do either of those. So again, even though it doesn't feel like anything other than pointless masochism, I'll ask again, I'll say again, I want everyone to be safe and happy. Please, can we talk about how we can get there?